can you use or what can you do to increase your credit score, let's say quickly? Let's say you want to go for a mortgage. Here we are in May now. Hey, come think May 1st, right? All right, so let's say you want to mortgage in August or September of this year. You got to work fast if you want to change your credit score. What are some of the strategies that you can do to increase your credit score?
There's several that I'll discuss with you here, and this is really timely because a lot of people come to a mortgage lender when they're ready to refinance or ready to buy a home, and credit doesn't update overnight. So what can you do? Well, the number one thing you can do is pay down your revolving debt, which is credit cards. That's the quickest way to boost your credit score, because a huge part of the credit scoring model with all the bureaus is your debt utilization. So if you have a $1,000 credit limit on a credit card, what percentage of that are you using? The higher percentage you're using, the higher risk you are. Because it looks like, okay, why is this person using so much? If you have maxed out credit cards, like 90+% used or even at the limit or over the limit, your credit score is going to tumble very, very quickly. So we want to do the opposite. We want to pay down the credit cards as low as possible. And the percentages that I use, the specific strategy that I use with my clients is the 50-30-10 rule. So what that is the first threshold you want to get to is 50% of the credit limit. So if you have a $1,000 credit card, you want to start out getting that down to 50%, which would be $500. They're going to penalize you still for having that 50% used, but less than having, like I said, an 80, 90, 100%. The lower that utilization ratio, the higher your score is going to go. So after the 50% threshold, the next one is 30% of the limit. On a $1,000 credit card, $300 is what you want to have as the balance on there. And last, and where you're going to have really a boost in your score, the least amount of points that are going to be taken away, is 10% of the limit. So on a $1,000 credit card, as crazy as it sounds, that's a $100 balance if you want to max out your FICO score. Anything higher than that 10%, they're going to start taking off a point here, a point there, and then you get up to that 70, 80, 90%. And I've seen people with pristine credit, great payment history, never missed it, but they have maxed out credit cards. Every one is 80%, 90%, 75%. They've got credit scores in the low 600s with a perfect payment history because of this debt utilization. So that's the strategy you want to use on your credit cards. The next one's going to be secured credit cards. An issue a lot of people have is that they'll come to me with a low credit score in the 500s, in the low 600s. They go to all these banks and credit unions trying to get credit cards because they know I need to get credit in order to build my credit. Maybe they have old collections and old accounts. We have to get current, good standing accounts with positive payment history in order to boost that score. But if no one will give you a credit card, how do you do it? The answer is secured credit cards. That's the answer. You can go to many banks and credit unions, ask them for a secured credit card that reports to at least 2 of the credit bureaus, and they will require that you put a deposit down. $200 to $500 typically. You give them that deposit, they put it aside, and then they issue you a credit card for a percentage of that deposit. Could be up to 90 or even 100% of the amount you put down. So you give them $200, then they give you a credit card for, say, $150. It's secured by the money that they've got. So if you don't pay it, they already have the money. You see?
Yeah.
That's a secured credit card. So that's great for people that need to rebuild their credit. And I have some particular sources I can't get into, but people can get in touch with me and I can give them the information on some different secured credit cards that I've used with clients and had success. The next one is totally free and really unknown to a lot of people, and that's authorized users. So an authorized user is when somebody adds you to their credit card account. It's completely free. A lot of people do this with their children. So a dad wants to help his child to build credit. He has an American Express card from 20 years ago, great history. He always pays it off. He can add his son, daughter, or anybody. There's not really a restriction. You could add a friend to it or a colleague to it. It's completely free. You can go on the website or call in and say, I want to add an authorized user. Yeah. And you just add that authorized user on, and it will start reporting to the credit bureaus.
You're adding me to yours, right?
Sure. And anyone can add you. Your friend, like I said, colleague, anybody. So that's a huge way as the authorized user. Now, it's not going to count as much if it's an authorized user card as it would if it were your own card, because people several years back, people took advantage of this and tried to get really high scores, and the credit bureaus caught on. So now they don't look at the authorized user the same way that they did 5, 6, 10 years ago, because again, people did fraud and took advantage. And the last method I want to touch on is there's a software that I have, and it's only available to lenders. It's called Credit Expert. It's given by the credit bureaus. It's not free, but your lender will pay for that. And it will allow us to run what-if scenarios on your credit report. It will allow us to say, this person's a 590 score. We need them to be a 620. What do they need to do? It will reverse engineer it, and it'll say, pay this credit card from 900 to 400. Pay this credit card to 1200 to 900. Do this, do that. It'll give you the exact formula of what you need to do. But again, it's not available to consumers. It's only for loan officers.
Out of everything there, the most fascinating, and listen, heed all of that advice. Make no mistake. You are the professional. You heed all four of those points. I mean, you're on your way. But what I found the most intriguing there was that 10% threshold. Wow.
Most people do. I mean, it seems crazy to get a credit card for $10,000 and have less than $1,000 owed. Why did you get a $10,000 credit limit if you only should use that? But that's the game that we're playing. Those are the rules of the game that nobody teaches you. And I can tell you, I've seen clients go from, actually just closed a guy that came to me back in January with a 590 score, and now he's a 665 score several months later. How? Because he did exactly what I'm telling you. He paid these credit cards down. They were almost all maxed out. He took some money, he paid them down, and he got his credit score up almost 80 points in a short period of time. So that's the really important thing, is that it's not where you're at now. It's what do you need to do? What are the rules to get there? What's the strategy?
Folks, you are listening to Mortgage Matters radio show with Rob Weinberg. He's easy to reach, 860-413-3938. Again, 860-413-3938, and on the web at www.robgw.com. All right, so what about